Hello to you all, and welcome to Pyramid Energy, a journey through intuition, wisdom, and loving insight. My name is Khunze. If you've journeyed with me before, welcome back, and thank you all for being here with me. Energy is energy. You are enough. We are one. As within, so without. Where does one begin on a topic like this? When I can't actually tell you yet what the topic is, I have something drafted, but I'm not sure. I was reassured to start with the truth. The truth is a very interesting thing because the understanding around the truth is that there can only be one. Through my journey, I've learned that what the truth means to me is what's most important, and whether it resonates, and whether it can stand the test of time, because it is full of information, yet it can only really be discerned from within. With all this said, as a channel, as a reader, as a communicator to an audience, this can be challenging, this idea. And so I will never purport really to say to you, this is the truth, so much that it needs to override the truth that you know. These are the times. We are living through a time where it is so important to sit with your truth, to unpack your truth, to feel whether it feels true, so that you no longer have to hide from places because you're not sure what the truth is, what the truth sounds like, and what the truth might do to you. There is so much going on. I have observed a lot of things. I have observed outwardly, and I've observed my own behavior and the events happening within myself. In the past couple of weeks, through my readings, through engaging with my readings, a lot of things have come to light about the collective, about the collective energy, and about my own energy, where I am, where I fit in, where I may no longer fit in, all of these things. With that, I have done a zoom out and been leaning towards reading energy. And the more that I read energy, so when I mention energy, I'm not referring to now my own energy, your energy. I'm referring to energy as a whole. I'm referring to the movements that surround us and the movements within us, all of us, because we are one. For a long time, I thought that showing up here on Pyramid Energy was me sharing my own readings. That's how intimate they felt. But more and more, I'm recognizing that when I channel directly, when I channel absolutely directly, holding cards, shuffling, and speaking the words that I'm hearing, okay, the more I recognize those words as being not within a context and therefore able to apply to those that can hear the words, understand the words, feel the words. And when I listen back, I can then understand and feel the words myself as well. Why? Not because I'm reading for myself, but because I'm reading energy. So now I'm not judging the energy, I'm reading the energy. And I'm not saying I'm reading the truth, because I am human. I am here to share the words that I hear through the energy with you. how they land, how they resonate is becoming less of a focus because I'm sharing these words from a non-judging space. Perhaps my tone today sounds judging, and I don't believe it is. It's because I've had this burn to share my thoughts on what's happening in the collective, not while I remove myself. I'm not removing myself from this. The fact that I've actually showed up here means I'm not removed from this. I believe that if you've been listening to other readings and observing your environment, whether that's the community that surrounds you more immediately, for me, that's my community that surrounds me more immediately. That's also the community being the country that I live in, okay? Because the energy that I'm reading is playing out in our country. The energy that I'm reading is playing out on the globe. The energy that I'm reading is playing out within me, within my own aspects, within Khunsi's self, me. And it's playing out amongst the best of us. I had to pause there because I don't know if I ever could have predicted a time like this. If you've been listening and watching what's happening out there, okay, I want you to reflect with me for a moment on all the shouting, all the whistleblowing, all the I am better because, all the promises being made that is within a context you could be told that your soulmate is about to arrive. Okay, so I'm speaking in many different contexts now, just so you can recognize what I'm talking about. Let's zoom out now. If the general energy, okay, planetary movements, what's happening collectively, not in terms of this inverted commas special collective we refer to here on YouTube. Collective is collective, okay? What sets us apart is our levels of awareness. Okay, we are all human, whether we are switched off or switched on. We are all chosen, whether we rise to the occasion or not. This word chosen, okay? especially now to use the word, you're chosen if you choose it. If you choose it, you are chosen. Okay, if you become aware, you become more aware of your connectedness. Okay, and the more aware you become, the more you realize that while we are all different, we are still one. We affect each other. We are connected. When I mention whistleblowing, I'm referring to it in terms of when someone sees something going wrong in a place, something that they see as wrong going on in a place, and they shout from the rooftops to alert everyone about it. Perhaps this is what I'm doing now. Again, I'm not judging. I am observing because I'm part of the energy. And so when there's chaos, I will feel chaos. Will I sit and focus on it for weeks on end? I hope not. I don't think I will. However, whatever is happening step by step, my wish is to integrate what I'm learning so that I can grow. If collectively there is this projection of whistleblowing resulting from a projection of someone's or a collective's observation of what I think I want to call the toxic masculine or toxic feminine at this point. It's all so wound up together. Or wounded masculine or distorted masculine. And the reason I'm using these words masculine is because I feel that's where we are stuck at the moment. For a while, I have sensed this mirror loop taking place. My observation of what this loop is or looks like in my waiting, for understanding to see what is actually going on. My understanding of this is that these masculine structures, okay, I'm calling them masculine because structures are masculine. These masculine structures are being disrupted, okay, by the structures themselves and by the users of the structures and by the energy. It's time, okay? So it was always time for disruption, okay? So you could look at a reader who's shouting from the rooftops as a disruptor, or you might come across a very calm reader with a super sweet voice warning you about something. Okay, that's disruption. It's still disruption. I'm just finding that more and more we're needing to anchor deeper into our truths so that when the hurricane starts, you can still hear your truth. And then you can measure what you're feeling, what you're seeing, what you're hearing against your truth, rather than the sound of authority, rather than a good point that's been put across to you, okay? A very good point that's been put across to you that makes sense, rather than listening into the calmness and the sweetness of a person's voice, okay? Or great command of the English language, whatever it is. Because I've been observing and this energy is getting the best of us. And that's why I'm saying the best of us, because I don't at any point want to make myself sound like I'm ahead of this, better than this, above this. We are all one. We are one. So if it's playing out there, who am I to blow the whistle on it when we are one? And so I suppose for me, this is me saying, this is really a time to anchor into your truth. And I suppose this is why I've shared these 4 as a start. Because if there's ever an argument or a debate around whether these 4 truths are true or false, I'll show up to that table. I'll show up to that debate. We are one. Energy is energy. You are enough. As within, so without. And the reason I brought these 4 truths is because, again, everything else I say, I'd like for you to take back to your own discernment. And I just wanted to start off on something we can all agree on. And these are the words that Spirit shared with me. But these are also words that I have found being challenged through what I've been observing. And so I'm leaving these truths with you for you to keep with you. Those of us that are feeling shaken by this disruption and unsure of ourselves, unsure of whether we are on the right side, unsure of whether we have taught the right things, those of us who consider ourselves teachers, those of us who consider ourselves healers, those of us who are considering shifting structures and now experiencing feelings of doubt and then going out there to look for truth and finding, everything sounds different right now. And so who do I believe? Who do I go with? What do I believe? Okay, so if you're finding yourself asking yourself who to believe, what to believe, if you are in this place, I have more to say, but if you are in this place, please start with this You are enough. And so if anyone, any experience, any soulmate, any reader, any friend, any parent, any part of you that sometimes speaks to yourself a certain way, if any of these bring doubt to the idea that you are enough, including your circumstances currently, including your current frame of mind, including your emotional, mental mindset currently, right now, in this moment, if anyone makes you feel, or anything, even yourself, makes you feel that you are not enough, that is an example of not the truth. Okay? Energy is energy. If I show up in front of you, and I feel safe saying this now, and I sat with this yesterday as I considered all the work I've done on pyramid energy in the past year and a half, let's call it. There are a lot of things I've introduced and then removed, and then there are a lot of things that I've done here on pyramid energy, and ways that I've read energy, as I've learned and as I've grown into myself. If I sit in front of you and read energy to you, at you, okay, energy. So there's one thing, if a person says, I'm reading you, then let them read you. If a person says, I'm reading the government, let them read the government. If a person stands in front of you and says they are reading the energy, and they're saying they're reading at you, I would switch that discernment button on. I'd switch that discernment button on, because if they're reading energy, I'm feeling like they should be reading the energy that applies to all of us, the one energy. Bringing it down to a context allows them the privilege, okay, this privilege that they're either using for good or not. It allows them the privilege to tell you what is happening in your life, to tell you what is about to happen in your life, to tell you what is not going to happen in your life. Okay, so they're not telling themselves. So they're speaking energy at you. I would switch the discernment button on. And also this over-contextualization of energy, I'm finding it more and more just such dicey territory, because I could be sitting here listening to a reader who's sharing a love reading. And if I get too sucked into the topic of love, before you know it, I'm waiting for some man to phone me or message me, okay? Because this is going on right now. It's going on in the Love Readers Collective. There's competition for you. There's competition for you. Could be someone old, could be someone new. But the emperor's about to arrive. This is how it's shared. Be careful of this one. They still haven't got their story together. This is the kind of information that's being shared. They're sort of speaking about a masculine, okay? Let's call it a masculine, or let's call it a man, because they've put it into context. And they focus on the human side of it, a lot of them. Will focus us, whatever. We'll focus on the human aspect of it. And then we forget that this is actually also playing out internally, okay, as an energy and in our surrounds, this masculine energy, this confusion, this competition, this one's still not sorted, this one has his stuff together, this one's about to call you, We're actually referring to opportunities, distractions, okay, and we're referring to changes, and we're referring to activity within ourselves. So what happens is that if I over-contextualize it into a human, into a masculine, for example, before you know it, I have been put outside of my truth. I have been sent outside of myself into this loop where I'm waiting for something external to happen rather than resolving the inner masculine that is currently feeling distracted, feeling distorted, feeling like it's taking long, feeling like it lacks structure, feeling like it has chaos, feeling doubtful, feeling fear, feeling like I don't know whether I'm on the right side or the wrong side. There is so much going on. Energy is energy. Energy is energy. And so beware of over-contextualization. When I say that, I'm not saying that I do not listen to over-contextualized content, because I do. I'm also not saying that I don't enjoy it, because I do. Many times I've considered writing you a list of all the people that I watch because I love them. I love them. But there have been times where I've had to pull myself out of them because I get sucked in. I'm human. But now I'm finding it so peaceful listening because I know my truths, and I feel like I'm more familiar now with the language of energy. And so at any given point, I'm listening. I'm listening for the guy who's going to call, and I'm listening for what's going on inside me. And I'm listening for everything. Like, all my antennas are on. That's how I feel. But that's also how I'm able to feel this, what do I call it? This interruption, this disruption, this fear that's being met with a certainty. It's like we are all being disrupted. We are all within the disruption. And then someone stands up and says they know exactly what's going on. And then everyone rushes there and starts questioning themselves. Some of this energy and this behavior honestly has left me feeling a little bit defeated. Not really self-defeated, but really, where does one begin? Where does one begin being part of this community, not wanting to necessarily alienate anyone, but also not wanting to be untrue to myself? Where does one begin? Another thing that's been happening is many of us have felt called to not listen so much to external content, but to anchor deeper within ourselves. But with that comes, you need to have a lot of trust in terms of the information you receive. You need to be willing to be disappointed by what you see, what you find. You need to be open. This movement deeper into the void can become a lonely experience. And now where this creates conflict is that during this time of feeling lonely, okay, so not everyone, let's say, chooses to anchor deeper. Some people actually choose to, because this is majorly a time of choice. There was one day where I was reading, shuffling cards, and I just kept seeing Two of Wands, Two of Pentacles, the Lover's card, a lot of these things pointing to choice kept coming up. And I couldn't quite see what choice was being presented. I couldn't quite see that, but this message of choice just kept coming through. And the reality of choice is that it is an opportunity and it exists. But when the energy of choice rises the way it's been rising, what it's actually saying is that you have the power. You have the power to rise. You have the power to fall. You have the power to choose. You have the power to not choose. You have the power to leave. You have the power to stay. You have the power to grow, and you have the power to stay where you are. All of these things will have a result. All of these things will carry their karma. will carry their consequence. And so this, for a time, became a major concern of mine. This is where my saviour complex started rearing its head. I had to sit with that for a while and remember that when there is chaos, the chaos within me might pull me towards the chaos, okay? Because this can be the result. In that moment, I have a choice to either follow the chaos or deal with the chaos within myself. And so each and every time I'm striving to return to myself and deal with what's happening inside of me, because I find this to be most empowering. I find this to be the most powerful choice because it can then create change for me. It can create growth for me, rather than going outside of myself and allowing the outside to determine the inside. 2552. It is in facing myself. Okay, it is in facing myself when I'm looking at the mirror. It's in going back inwards. While I see the mirror, I return back inwards to create change. We are living through a time where some of the best tarot card readers on YouTube are at war with each other outwardly, using their platforms to argue, to blow whistles on each other. You could listen to both of them, being familiar with both of them, watch them argue, and just observe. Observe the activity happening mentally within you. Observe what you're feeling through both of them. You could actually sense into how much these people are hurting, but never see it on their face. Never actually hear it in their words. So that is an example of feeling what is going on and seeing how it's playing out. And instead of running from this kind of content, because I clearly did not run from it, I got my fill, I had to see what was going to happen. I wanted to see, this is part of life. Like, this is how I see it. Being a healer doesn't mean I only expose myself to things that are clean and pure and perfect, because that is just not life. Watching that has taught me that it is even more important than I thought, let's say 3 days ago, to anchor deeply into myself, within my truth. Why is that? Because otherwise, I'm forced to, or I feel compelled to choose who's right, who's wrong. And in that moment, one begins to realize that nobody's right or wrong. Nobody's right or wrong. People are hurting. People are struggling to deal with disruption. People don't like fingers being pointed at them. People don't like other people taking advantage of communities. People don't like being called out for being wrong. People don't like being wrong. People have not quite integrated the idea of forgiveness, the opportunity it presents, the opportunity to observe. The opportunity to observe is actually something that one needs to integrate. Why? So that in the middle of a war, you don't find yourself only shouting out that the other is wrong, because that's your experience. That's your experience. And I want to put emphasis on the your, that's your experience. Okay. As in, what you're saying may not be true. It is your experience. And also, it is your experience. You're there to experience it. That person presented themselves to trigger you in this way so that you can see something about yourself. They're going through a similar experience in this sense. You've been put in front of them to go through it. So all these words that are flying across are rather a manifestation of the energy. And so this energy is manifesting in chaos. Chaos is being exacerbated. And less, I'm observing. This is what really makes me feel disappointed. And this is a disappointment, not as I am disappointed at you. It's not that kind of disappointment. It's just that kind of disappointment where I wish it wasn't this way, but it is this way for a reason. I see that. But this disappointment is the absence of integration that I've been observing. And for a while now, I've tried to ignore it. Okay, again, I'm human. I've tried to ignore it, not focus on it, anchor deeper into my truth. But it's still there. It's still there. And I feel, and again, just an observation for now, I feel it's being inadequately dealt with. Perhaps this is how it needs to be for now. But again, it has sent me back into myself to see what is not integrated. What needs to be better integrated? What can I do? And so in this moment, that's why I've actually showed up with this is one of the things that moves an energy along is awareness, is being vocal, is allowing the throat to stay open, okay? Honoring what it is my third eye picks up on, running it through the filter that is my body, honoring my body, honoring how I feel, honoring what I see, sharing this. That's why I've shared this with you much more as a human than a channel today, especially. Because, and that's why I just gave the 4 truths and I'm sharing my observations with you. Because I am enough. You are enough. I am enough. And so you are most certainly free to, now as I've presented my words in front of you and shared with you what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, what I'm going through, a lot of it also, I'll admit, chaotic. But read of it what you will. This is my invitation to you. Read what you see. Connect with what you're observing. Connect with where it's triggering you. Engage with yourself by observing me. Not by taking what I'm saying to be your truth. Not by taking what I'm saying as a challenge. I hope that you can see that this is coming from my heart. But still, that's for you to discern. That's for you to discern. And so I feel like what I've done today here is really come out to knock on your door and say, please remember your discernment. Please remember that you are enough. Please remember that we are all of one. We are all one. Okay? There's no us and them. And, we are all experiencing this energy. Energy is energy. And even as you listen out for whatever the language is that is being used, whether it's masculine, feminine, your clarity comes from within and is experienced within you. And so while clarity can be offered, that's more like an invitation to accept someone's words of inspiration to assist your clarity, but your clarity is not going to be found out there. Your clarity is not going to be found out there because even as I speak to you, it's as if these words like frequency, resonance, all of these things, this world we live in is becoming so complex. We used to be able to rely on these measures to discern whether to believe another person or not, to believe what they're saying, to believe whether what they're saying is true. I'm inclined to say that these are no longer enough. And it's interesting because a lot of you that listen to me listen for resonance. A lot of you that listen to me listen for wisdom, listen for truth at times, listen for, because of, I suppose, my frequency, your frequency, it's all flowing. It's really important right now to anchor deeper into your truth, to interrogate your truth, to respond to your triggers by questioning why you're triggered, to really engage with yourself. Because I'm not hearing enough information out there around self-empowerment, inner development. I'm hearing it here and there. I'm hearing it tucked inside some readings, a little bit of self-development here, a little bit of self-development there. But the majority of content, and again, perhaps my algorithm is distorted. I'll take that. But I also feel it in the energy, okay? But I'm finding the majority of information out there very predictive, very, this is what is going on. And I honor that because, this has been my work. And I'm not saying that's going to change. However, I would appreciate being listened to by people that are still discerning as I speak, because that is how I listen to everyone, including myself, actually. It's just that I have the advantage of having felt what I say before I say it or as I'm saying it. And I trust what I'm hearing as I'm channeling as a direct experience. But again, it's my experience. And so I'm able to integrate what I share to a different level to someone else who's listening, I'm assuming. But my message is to please rise to your own occasion rather than allowing yourself to rise to the occasions of others. Why? Now this brings me to my deepest concern. And I'm not whistleblowing. I'm sharing what I'm feeling, and I'm sharing something that I want to bring forward as an invitation for awareness, is that being a highly energetic being means that you have a lot of valuable energy, irrespective of your awareness. Okay, so whether you're aware of it or not, you're a highly energetic being, and therefore the amounts of energy that you're able to hold, that are able to run through your body, flow through you, it's valuable. And in a world where everyone is trying to cling to their value, their own sense of value, and their ideas of what brings value to them. Okay, so value is a wide word. And so interpret it, please expand on it. In this kind of world right now, you might find that your energy is being pulled in directions that enhance another person or another body or another system's value according to their value system. So this is also to say that perhaps you could also interrogate your own value system. And I'm not speaking at you. I'm speaking to myself as well here. I'm just sharing what's in my heart. But the value system is actually being challenged. And the response to this challenge and this disruption is to cling to what one knows and also to grasp outwardly, to draw in from the outside back to self. And what's happening is that then this person, whoever this person, let's talk in the legal sense of like persons, like whatever structure it is, whatever system it is or person, then holds up a mirror to you with a certain display of information that then you get sucked into, forgetting yourself. You get sucked into this information, and before you know it, you're in a whirlpool. And you don't even know you're in a whirlpool. You don't know. You can't see yourself. All you're seeing is what's being given to you, what's being fed to you. So now, and again, without going into monitoring spirits and all of that, okay, because now I risk this entire recording collapsing, because this has happened when I get like this. These are the things that begin to happen. I'm calling it out now because I've seen it. It's happening, and this is the way that disruption disrupts disruption, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, because maybe what I'm saying is disruptive, but what I'm wanting to say is that there are existing channels that are accustomed to surviving off and feeding off you as a source of energy. And it's only through coming into your own balance, finding your own truth, and being able to, sort of become a self-governing person. Okay? This is what sovereignty is about. It's about being able to govern oneself, one's thoughts, one's behavior, to decide for oneself who you are, what you're about, what your values are, all of that. And this includes your sense of your own worth. And so when I speak of existing channels, okay, so now a channel is a structure through which information can flow, okay? Information, including energy, whatever form of information is flowing through this channel exists, and it is accustomed to feeding off your energy, surviving off your energy. This could be a person you're in a relationship with. And so that means part of their energy is derived from you. They are used to getting it this way, consciously or not. The structure with which they operate is set, okay, because change is hard, change is difficult, especially if we're not aware. And so this energy of yours can continue to flow that way. This might not be actually a personal relationship. This could also be a reader out there, okay, used to your energy flowing through. So what this means is that, let's say, it could be that someone opens a container that fetches information on your behalf, okay, from you or your collective or however you relate to this, fetches that information, okay, then returns to their container to receive your information before you've had the mindfulness to receive it yourself. Feeds it to you, and you can sense a truth in it, a level of truth in it, because the information resonates, because you felt the information. However, the way it's packaged, the way it's structured, the way it's presented, the way it's depicted to you may be in a context that keeps you coming back. And it may be in a context that shuts you off from the real truth. Okay, it's the actual truth. The truth that you should be made aware of, the truth that you might be ready for. Okay, and I say might be ready for because we never really know. Maybe some people feel they always know. Who knows? I don't know. But it's really important for you to understand then the kind of energy that you carry, the value it holds, how much it's meant to be doing for you, not for others. Not for others. One needs to come into a balance within themselves and a stability within themselves where they can trust their own channel enough to provide them with information that can carry them, and information that they can rely on, and information that they can share without compromising themselves. I believe in the entertainment value of this work. I'm just going to say that. I believe in the entertainment value of this work. And so I'm also not here to say love readings need to fall, because I believe in love. I believe in love between two people. I believe in soulmates. I believe in a lot of things, okay? I've had to do a lot of healing around the narrative and all of that, but I believe, I do. However, I also believe that in order to attract a soulmate in a healthy state, to attract a soulmate that resonates, one may need to be ready to rise to that occasion. And so instead of waiting, one can prepare. And how better to prepare than to come into a healthy state for yourself? I hope you hear what I'm trying to say. Because, I don't know why the term self-fulfilling prophecy is coming up. Because it sounds a little bit like a contradiction. But it's essentially a form of manifesting. Okay, because now words are coming in and my mind is fighting against them. But okay, let's do this. A self-fulfilling prophecy is a type of manifestation, okay, where what you believe about yourself, what you say, okay, so not what you listen to, but rather what you end up believing, becomes your prophecy, becomes what you become, what you're going to become, what you are already becoming, okay? And so you could end up in a continuous loop. And I'm saying this because I've been in one, and I'm saying this because I may be in one. I'm just saying, the more we raise our awareness, the more we can heal and the more we can empower ourselves. And so I'm not saying I'm totally out. I'm observing and I'm sharing through experience. But clinging onto the external existing structures keeps you bound within your current structure. And so while it might sound soothing, what you hear, it's rather like, sort of like a sleeping pill where it feels great, but the changes are not happening because you're asleep. And so maybe even for that moment you feel good, but then you come out of your slumber, the soothing voice stops, and then you find yourself either waiting for the result of what was promised by them, okay, outside of you. You're waiting for the result of what was promised, or you're waiting for the same soothsayer to return to you with more information. And so it's really becoming so important to listen to your own voice within, to not ignore your triggers, but to face your triggers gently, please, gently, but to sit with them and really lean into how you're feeling in those moments. I've had moments where I feel triggered by something someone says. They sound great. They have always shared such good information with me. Why is what they just said triggering me like this? And I've sat with it, and realized it's triggering me because it's not my truth. it's triggering me because it's not my truth. And when I really sit with what they said, even though I almost bypassed my truth, because I've sat with what they said, what I'm starting to hear through listening to you is that you're saying I'm not enough. What I'm starting to hear quite clearly is that you are saying that I need to wait for something else to be what I know to be where I'm going. Okay, what I'm hearing you say is that you don't suffer from this issue because, I don't know, maybe you're better, or you know more, or you're healed with a D at the end. Healed. Okay, so this human being, an entire human being, encountering experiences in this expanding environment that we all exist in, is healed, past tense, full stop. Which for me, like, these are examples of things that I could have just gone with, especially because this is a great reader, a great intuitive, for example. And when I really sit with it, it challenges ancient truths, ancient wise truths. I am enough. I am enough. And energy is energy. And as you read at me, I'm going to start asking myself, as I engage with what you're reading, I'm going to ask myself, remind myself that energy is dynamic. Energy is dynamic. And so while you read at me, perhaps where are your blind spots? Perhaps what is the other side of what you're sharing? What is the other side of it? Because there's always another side. How is this energy that you're reading playing out in your world? Because it's dynamic. This one face you're sharing with me, where are the other facets? Where have you hidden the other facets? Which facets have you not seen? Which facets have you not engaged with? Because you are human. You are human, you are multidimensional. But as soon as you, let's say, are reading at me, and I'm not speaking to the language, I'm speaking to more the attitude. If you're reading at me, already, I feel like from your end, maybe you do not believe in this one truth that I really believe in, which is that we are one. And so I will take your words with a pinch of salt. I stopped there at 52. That has all been a lot that I've said. However, I want to close, and the way in which I want to close is to really leave you with an openness. Please stay open. Please stay open, and please don't allow anything you hear or see to threaten to close you off. Even if this is a form of soothing you, stay open. I'm an artist here on YouTube. I share my art. And I'm also a human being. And so I'm exposed to many things. And more I'm integrating my spirituality with my material life and really not wanting to separate these two things. This is my way of becoming a whole being. And the more I do this, the more I find I'm accepting myself and showing up as myself, irrespective of my surroundings, where I am and who's listening. And so I'm feeling even more enough than I used to, let's put it that way. But as an artist, it's important for me to feel free to anchor deeply into my truth. And I'd like to be able to anchor deeply into my truth without distorting your picture of yourself. I might challenge you at times. I might trigger you at times, but please do not allow me to distort you. Because nothing is more important to you than you. Absolutely nothing. And nothing is more true to you than you. Nothing should ever be more true to you than you are to yourself. And when something challenges your truth, stay open. Do not jump off your ship and onto another person's ship. Do not desert your own ship. Anchor deeper into yourself. Observe the other ship. Observe the other ship. Anchor deeper into yourself. Observe yourself. Trust that you are so deeply anchored that to take your eye off the water and look at yourself is safe, because it is. And trust that to sit there for an extended period is safe. It is safe because what you're after is your truth, and you know that it's there. And so trust that that information will flow into you. And when it flows into you, engage with it and let it settle into yourself. Because we are currently living through a time where structures are clinging to remain the way they've been, even if that means through distorting your vision of yourself. Structures are used to surviving the way they've been surviving. And for you to shift that is to disrupt the system. But that is the kind of disruption that I see as healthy. Unfortunately, there is also a lot of unhealthy seeming, tuhunze at least, disruption. But disruption is a healthy mechanism because it brings about disorder and an opportunity to bring in a new order. And so we can't look at disruption as a negative. Everything has more than one side. And more and more I'm finding myself like I want to say two sides, but I'm like, I want to say there's so many sides, so there's more than one. There's definitely more than one side. And a high priestess needs to take advantage of their vantage point, to see what they see, but to also be able to simultaneously see that they that are seeing are also experiencing something that is playing out in terms of what is being communicated. 5757. I keep ending off my sentences with these double numbers. I pulled a few cards because someone started drilling outside and I really want to close this now. We're pushing an hour. And so if you're still with me, thank you. But I pulled some cards here. I've got 7 cards, 4 of which are major arcana. So the majority. And what these cards are saying to me, I've laid them on the screen so that you can see. Judgment to me is around decisions. Okay, decisions and calls being made. Okay, so the trumpet is being sounded. Okay, decisions are to be made internally, hanged man. To sit with your own decisions and allow them to be made by you, yourself, internally. Even when, because as I was shuffling, I got the Chariot, but I hadn't seen the Chariot. I just knew that card popped out and the card said even when. And so this means even when it appears that either things are taking off the Chariot or something's about to happen. It's time. Even if it looks like it's everyone's time. For clarity, I got the 4 of Pentacles. Remember that not all of the information has been shared. Some of it is concealed. Some of it intentionally withheld. And some of it just out of that person's sense of clinging onto what they understand, their understanding and their values. So there's a lot more to information than what is shared, including everything I've said today. There's always a lot more. Always. You can never fit absolutely everything into 20 minutes or even an hour. Not everything will be shared. There is the perspective that is shared. There's also another perspective all the time. And so to be smart about that, Five of Swords, to be smart about that and without being too guarded, okay, to allow yourself to sit and be the observer and prioritize yourself and your own well-being, okay? And whatever decision you make, the world, Six of Pentacles, ensure that the outcome for you leaves you better off. So as in, what you believe needs to add up and align with where you want to be. And it needs to be something that feels honest with you, like to yourself, it needs to feel honest. It needs to feel true. It needs to make sense. It needs to make sense. And what I mean by this is, and I didn't want to use this example. If an opportunity that is coming fulfills a sense of hope for you, okay? So it gives you a sense of hope while compromising your sense of self. That is not closing a cycle generously towards yourself. And so it needs to make sense. It needs to logically follow that what is coming aligns with your values. Perhaps it hasn't always aligned with your values, but in terms of your current value system, it aligns and it's going to move you in a positive direction. It's not going to ask you to regress. It's not going to ask you to say yes to something that has said no to you 1,000 times, whatever that is. It needs to make sense. Otherwise, then it needs more questioning. I'm going to leave this there. It's too long now. I love you all. Thank you so much for your time. Honestly, it's an honor to be able to just share my truth without worrying about being alienated or whatever. And I've actually just shared all of this because I am all I have. I am all I have, and my truth is my truth. And my voice is my voice. And my choice is to use my voice and to leave you with your choice. And we will not always agree. But as we go along, my hope is that we all expand and we all grow. And maybe this is just an ideal that I hold alone. Perhaps it is. But this, what I've shared, is most certainly, it feels like a culmination of so many things I've observed, so many things I've been wanting to say. And quite honestly, something that removed me from what I was doing because so much was just coming through. I'm sending you all so much love. Should you wish to support my channel and can, I've left information in the description box below on how. Sending you all so much love.